Well, there you go, sports fans. It's been a truly scintillating performance here at the Kedron Lions AFL ground, where the Kedron Lions are leading the team from visitors by quite a substantial margin. The talk around the ground at the moment has been all about the performance of my youngest girl child, and she has had 5 shots on goal. That's right, 5 shots on goal. Missed them all. Every single one. It has been a truly deplorable performance. So let's not forget that tonight's match is being proudly brought to you by On This Day in Australia. And tonight's episode, we will be focusing on the formation of the Royal Flying Doctor Service on this day. So this is the day an Australian institution began service. What we now know as the Royal Flying Doctor Service first came into existence on this day in 1928 as, wait for it, the Australian Inland Mission Aerial Medical Service in Cloncurry, Queensland. Thank God they changed their name, eh? So it's an aerial doctor service and was established by Reverend John Flynn. So John Flynn's first posting as a Presbyterian minister was to Beltana, which is a tiny little settlement about 500 kilometres north of Adelaide, and was soon appointed as the superintendent of the Australian Inland Mission in 1912. So the Inland Mission was essentially a church which covered the vast inland areas of Australia. At this time, the area which Flynn serviced only had 2 doctors servicing an area of 300,000 square kilometres in Western Australia and 1.5 million square kilometres in the Northern Territory. So to put this into a bit of perspective, the United Kingdom, which includes obviously England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, comes to a total landmass of roughly 250,000 square kilometres. So when you remember that transport in those days was on horseback, it's pretty obvious that proper medical attention was basically impossible. So Flynn realised that there was a need for better medical care for the people of the outback, and so he established a number of bush hospitals and small hostels. He was told the story of a young stockman, a young bloke by the name of Jim Darcy, who had been seriously injured while mustering stock on a cattle station near Halls Creek, which is up in the rough, remote northern areas of northern Western Australia. The only medical service available to Darcy at the time was a Halls Creek postmaster, who had performed surgery on Darcy while receiving instruction from a doctor in Perth via the telegraph. So needless to say, despite the operation being a success, the poor stockman died 2 months later from complications. And Reverend Flynn felt there had to be a better way. So he started looking around for improved technology which might assist in providing medical care in these remote areas. And he focused on the 2 emerging technologies of the time, being radio and aircraft. An Australian pilot serving in World War I at the time by the name of Clifford Peel, he caught wind of the idea and he wrote to Flynn and outlined the capabilities of the planes that were then available. It's definitely a possibility, but the question was how to fund it. Well, if ever there's a vocation with exceptional fundraising experience, hey, it's got to be the church, doesn't it? And so Flynn had little trouble raising the initial cash, and with a bequest from a Mr. H.V. Mackay, it was a done deal, and on 15th of May 1928, the Australian Inland Mission Aerial Medical Service was established, and their first flight was 2 days later. In 1942, the service was renamed the Flying Doctor Service, and in 1955, Queen Lizzie II, following her visit to Australia, approved the prefix Royal, and the service became known as the Royal Flying Doctor Service, or the RFDS. Obviously, with the improvement in technology over the years, the services offered by the RFDS have increased, and the level of healthcare in remote areas of Australia is arguably the best in the world. Today, the staff of the RFDS provide many of the services in remote areas, including pre- and postnatal care, general GP clinics, minor surgical procedures, as well as a full aeromedical emergency service. So I think ambulances in the sky. It's also important to keep in mind that although you might get a bit upset in the city if you have to wait half an hour for an ambulance, due to the fact that the RFDS has to fly hundreds of kilometres just to get to the patient, it can take a few hours. And by this time, obviously the patient's condition has probably deteriorated quite a bit. So the RFDS doctors and paramedics are often dealing with the more complicated situations that their urban counterparts do on a regular basis. It's hard to underestimate the importance of this service, which is still mostly privately funded. You only have to travel in remote areas and visit the pubs and the shops, and you'll see just how important the RFDS is to the people who live out here. Each of them will have some unique and quite often amusing way of raising money to support the services. I've seen massive bras hanging from the roof in pubs, and the challenge is to toss a coin in, and at the end of the year, whatever money happens to be in the bra, that all gets donated, and it can be up to a couple of $1,000s a year. There's also some more sneaky ways, so take part, have fun, part with your money, it's all in a good cause. These fundraising efforts have become a bit of a feature of outback travel, and it's unique to every pub. And while I hope I never need their attention while I'm travelling out and around out there, I'm bloody happy to know that they are there just in case. And it all started with Reverend John Flynn on the 15th of May in 1928. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thank you. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to be advised when new episodes are posted, just click on the subscribe button that's down there somewhere. If you want to find out what I'm up to, go to my website at warwickoneil.com. If you want to check out my blog site, it's notyouraverageIdiot.net, where I blog on all sorts of things from four-wheel driving, single parenting, whatever comes into my head. So I hope to hear from you soon, and cheers. See ya.